Part 75. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 746. The nursery rhymes are nothing. They brought Han Qian all the way there just to put gas in the car. Han Qian had a fight with this monster on the phone. Only when he got to school did he realize that it wasn't the nursery rhymes that were lazy, but that this woman was sick. The car is out of gas. The two of them stood on campus. Han Qian curled his hands in his sleeves and read nursery rhymes. If you have nothing to do, why don't you go fill up on gas? Will it exhaust you to death? Nursery rhyme replied with a frown on her hands. This thing seems to drink gas. I usually don't drive it very much, and it costs 1,800 yuan a month for gas. How about I change it to Yang Ian's one? She said she only pays more than 500 yuan a month for gas. There's nothing I can do against you. Their car costs more than 1 million, but you drive one that costs 200,000. Where can I put my face? What does the car I drive have to do with your face? What does it have to do with us? I'm too lazy to care about you. What should I do now? I want to know that I'm still looking for you. I shouldn't have come to Binhai. If I didn't come to Binhai, I wouldn't be Li Jiai's teacher. If I didn't become a teacher, I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have met you. Stop. I'll smoke some for you in my car. What kind of gas should you put in your car? More than 90. Han Qian glanced at Tong Yao, who looked at Han Qian blankly. Then the straight man grabbed a snowball on the ground and hit Tong Yao's face. Tong Yao was stunned. The next second he opened the car door and took it in the hand button. Use the electric baton. Seeing the sparks popping up from the electric baton, Han Qian took some snow and put it on his face. There is no doubt that this monster will really use the electric baton to stun him. At this time, the school teachers passed by the two of them after get off work, and one of the female teachers smiled. Principal Tong, is this your boyfriend? He's quite handsome. Nursery rhyme suddenly became furious and said angrily. I'm blind to find this philandering carrot. What a scumbag, hurry up and fix the car for me. I have to attend Shisai's birthday. Han Qian frowned. Why do I care so little about you? Take a taxi yourself. As soon as he finished speaking, the electric baton was pressed against Han Qian's chin. Tong Jiao pressed against Han Qian's body and raised his head to look into the sky's eyes. Han Qian quickly raised his hands to surrender. Tong Jiao took out Mikey from Han Qian's pocket. He took Lun's car keys and drove away. Han Qian squatted on the ground weakly, covering his head. What is the brain circuit of this monster? He called a tow truck, and then called Suliang to ask him to pick him up. It was already dark when Suliang drove his Mercedes-Benz to the school. After getting in the car, Han Qian looked at the passenger seat wearing a red exquisite suit. Guan Yunbiao lowered his head and glanced at the cotton-padded jacket on his body. Send me home first to change clothes. On the way to the hotel, Han Qian called Xiao Kexan and asked him if he wanted to go to the buffet. The little fat man told Han Qian that he was playing games, and then Han Qian said softly. Do you have enough money to spend now? Don't go hungry here in Binhai. I'm in a lot of trouble now and don't want to involve you. If you have no money to spend and feel wronged, call your sister-in-law, or just go to the company to find your sister-in-law, do you hear me? If you have no money, just tell me, you are still young, don't support yourself. Xiao Kexan said softly that he got it. After hanging up the phone, Han Qian sighed softly. The kids around him were very good to him, but Han Qian really couldn't help them now. If he was beaten by Lu Shenga and Lin Zongheng and Feng Lun knew that they would become Han Qian's weakness. I can only help secretly. It was only 6 o'clock when we arrived at the hotel, and the hotel staff was busy. Han Qian saw two acquaintances. Sisters Yang Lan and Yang Jio were here directing the people in the hotel to prepare. Looking at Yang Lan in a white suit, Han Qian stepped forward and poked Sister Yang's shoulder with a finger. Yang Lan hurriedly turned around and found that it was Han Qian. Breathed a sigh of relief and said angrily, "Bad boy, why are you scaring me?" Han Qian scratched his head and smiled. "No. You are too focused. Tonight is our family's dinner. I heard a few girls nagging about wearing evening dresses. Sister Yang, why didn't you prepare one? As for Yang Jia, forget it, she is still young." Yang Lan frowned and smiled. "Everyone dresses up like a little girl, but I am an old mother of a child. Why should I wear an evening dress? I can just deal with the dinner here tonight." Han Qian shook his head and made a gesture to Suliang and Guan Yunbiao with his back to Yang Lan. Suliang turned and left with a smile, while Guan Yunbiao went to find the manager of the hotel. How could this matter to the pretty Yang? How about Ms. Lan? Outside the door, Suliang called Wu Siguan. "Xiao Siguan, when you come, remember to bring 2 sets of evening dresses for our sister Yang Lan and little Yang Jia. Qianer asked me to think of a way, but I can only think that you are a professional." "Okay." Wu Siguan's answer was concise and clear. She hung up the phone and looked at her little boyfriend who was combing her hair in the mirror and said softly, "You come with me tonight. You can't give me a future, but I can give it to you. Get to know the big guys in the city and become familiar with each other. But you'd better not say that you are my boyfriend. Otherwise, after we break up, you might get chopped into pieces and thrown into the sea to feed the fish." The boyfriend, who is still in college, laughed. "How do you choose between 2 evening dresses? I'll prepare them. One set is elegant white, and the other is green. Would you like an oil umbrella? Are you here talking to me about White Snake? Hurry up and get ready. I'm going out. I'll pick you up one. I think Lu Guangming and the others will come to pick me up soon." "Good. My little boyfriend is very warm, at least he is very warm now. No one can predict what the future will be like." Not long after, Luo Shanda called. "Xiao Wu, get ready to go. These 4 people don't let anyone go now. They get scolded together and make money together. At least they are safe." In the hotel, Han Qian looked at the 7-layer cake in front of him. Suliang and Guan Degu looked at Han Qian from left to right, fearing that this guy couldn't help but step forward to take a bite. Han Qian pointed to the 7-layer cake and turned to look at Li Yang. "Isn't this thing cheap? It has to cost several thousand, right?" Li Yang pinched a 7, and Han Qian shouted luxury, and then asked what this thing tasted like. As soon as he finished speaking, he was dragged away by Guan Yunbiao and Suliang. It is estimated that there are men in Binhai City who can force Han Qian. Just 2 of them. Standing on the circular terrace on the 2nd floor, overlooking the busy people on the 1st floor, Han Qian whispered that he could just try it. The 2 men firmly objected, and Han Qian sighed helplessly. "Hey! This so-called dinner is not about eating. If you ask me, just set up a dozen tables, and everyone can sit down and eat and drink as much as they want. These buffets are a waste once they are made." Suliang shrugged and said softly, "Walking around in this way can promote communication. Not all people here are necessarily here to see you. Most people come here to get familiar with each other or to build relationships. You are just the initiator, and that's all the excitement is." After the words fell, Guan Yunbiao spoke. "Brother Han, are you really not worried about what will happen tonight? Something happened every time in the first 3 times." Han Qian shrugged helplessly. "What can I do? I'm helpless too. When Nuan and Yan Qingqing insist on doing it, how dare I resist? Now that they've come, let's make peace with them, Si Guan, Wan, and the others are here. Liang go and help. As a favor, ask Sister Yang to change her clothes, and then come back quickly." I don't even know what I should do tonight. I know, I know. Suliang trotted down the spiral staircase. At this time, a few more people walked in from the main door. The appearance of this guy made Lu Guangming and others at the door bow and give way. Han Qian frowned slightly. What are Niu Qiudong and his daughter doing here? Guan Yunbiao shrugged and said softly. You're busy at the back. I'll go downstairs to test this old guy first. Will you go over to Lu Guangming's side yourself or let Suliang go over? No need to go over there, just tell Lu Guangming to help me and be a member of the family. Cunning. This is what I call sincerity. The two separated, and Han Qian went to the back. He was still thinking about the 7-layer cake. He had never seen such a luxurious thing in his life. Guan Yunbiao arranged his suit and went downstairs, showing a smile brighter than a chrysanthemum. He trotted forward. Secretary Niu. Miss. We are not welcome from afar, but we are not welcome from afar. Please come quickly, please come quickly. Guan Yunbiao smiled as he passed Lu Guangming and several others while jogging. Qianer is busy changing clothes in the back. He told me several times to urge you to come here quickly. He is a little busy by himself. I'll leave the hall to you. I'll take Secretary Niu to rest for a while. There was a smile on Lu Guangming's eyebrows. Being a family member is always closer than being a guest. Niu Qiudong walked on the red carpet and said with a frown. Why is Han Qian thinking about having a dinner party? Doesn't he know that he is conflicting with this kind of occasion? Guan Yunbiao bent over and smiled. Miss Shisai, the deputy director of Changrong, and our eldest lady are sisters. After returning to China, she has been helping her with the company's affairs. Now that it's her birthday, the eldest lady said she wanted to celebrate Miss Shisai. Qianer also meant to call everyone over to have fun. It's lively, walking around. Secretary Niu, please sit down. Miss Niu, please sit down. Would you like some tea or coffee? Let's have tea. De Hongbao, Taiguanyin, Westlake Longjing, PUER. No choice. If you ask Luo Shanda to come over, why does the person at his yamen door look like a waiter? Guan Yunbiao laughed and turned around to prepare. When he told Luo Shanda, Lao Luo frowned. Not like a waiter, but like an official? Civil servants, I personally understand them as people who serve the public. I, Luo Shanda, am not an honest official, but our tax bureau can be said to be the best yamen in the city. Cower. Guan Yunbiao smiled and left. At this time, Cheng Jin suddenly appeared behind Luo Shanda and said coldly. Aren't you honest? Luo Shanda trembled, turned around and bowed. Mr. Mayor. I'm so careless, I just can't stand it. Shut up. I have a much better reputation among the people than you. Where is Han Qian, the little bastard? Are you changing clothes later? I didn't even watch. I'll go find him. Cheng Jin took a step forward. Luo Shanda straightened up and spoke. Mayor Cheng, I have something to say. It seems like the higher-ups are going to start investigating you. Feel free to investigate. I'm really not afraid of this. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 747. When Yang Lan and Yang Jia walked out of the locker room, Han Qian held his chin and whispered softly. Why are you so beautiful? Yang Ian's white evening dress is a tube top and body shaping type. The low-cut design makes the advantage of the chest feel shocking. The design of the floor-length fishtail skirt on the lower body really looks like an ancient noble blue and white porcelain vase. With a curvy figure, Korean makeup on her face, and black hair tied behind her head, Yang Lan covered her chest with her left hand and held an exquisite LV bag in her right hand. At this time, Wan Fang, who was holding a makeup pen in her mouth, took out a gemstone necklace was tied around Yang Ian's neck. The turquoise gem embellishment gives Yang Lan a qualitative leap in her temperament. Beautiful. Han Qian looked at Yang Ian's profile and had to say that Yang Ian's figure was top-notch. The girls around him were really inferior to Yang Ian's figure. She is 1.7 meters tall, with plump breasts, perky hips, a waist like a water snake, and the trace of sadness displayed on her pretty face with Korean makeup. Yang Lan is really perfect. Not to mention Lu Zhuolong, was there any man who was not attracted to the entire dinner party? Little Yang Jia on the side is wearing a slightly fluffy blue evening dress. The upper body is conservative to the neckline. A blue rose is decorated on the chest to cover up the shortcomings of the chest. The fluffy skirt of the lower body is above the knees, which also conceals the figure. The upper floor revealed a pair of fair calves. Stockings will only make elegant women look low on such occasions, while bare legs can show elegance. Yang Lan is mature and graceful, while Yang Jia is young and energetic. Han Qian believed that the two sisters would become one of the few highlights of tonight's dinner. Snapped. He was suddenly slapped on the back of the head. Han Qian covered his head and turned to look at Cheng Jin. His eyes revealed that he wanted to kill the old man. Cheng Jin ignored Han Qian and whispered to Yang Lan. "Manager Yang looks beautiful tonight." Yang Lan tenderly thanked Cheng Jin for the compliment. Little Yang Jia asked Cheng Jin if she looked good tonight. Cheng Jin replied that he would not comment on children. Yang Jia was like a lightning strike. At this time, Wan Fang took out 2 diamond earrings and brought them to Yang Jia on his ears, and said with a smile, "Little Yang Jia is the cutest tonight. It's a little gift from my sister." Yang Jia turned around and put her arms around Wan Fang's neck and thanked her sweetly. Han Qian asked Wan Fang if she wanted to change clothes. Wan Fang curled her lips and shook her head. She was too lazy to change. While several girls were chatting, Han Qian was dragged away by Cheng Jin. Cheng Jin said softly, "My right eye keeps twitching. I always feel that you won't be stable tonight. You should be careful." Han Qian nodded, casually removed a piece of paper from the waiter's chest notebook, tore off a small piece, dipped it in some saliva and pasted it on Cheng Jin's eyelids. Cheng Jin frowned. "Should I take this thing out? Who dares to say anything about you? Niu Qiudong is here, you go over. Aren't you going to go? Busy. I think you're too lazy to look at him. Remember to go over and say hello when you're done." I know, you are so long-winded." Han Qian pushed Cheng Jin's back and pushed Lao Cheng's head to the terrace on the second floor. Cheng Jin took out his mobile phone and called Niu Qiudong and asked him if he wanted to come up to the second floor. There were too many people on the first floor and it was too chaotic for the yamen. Kaur's influence was not very good. Don't let the child's birthday turn into an alliance between government and business. By the way, Luo Shanda was also arrested. Why join in the fun on the first floor? There were more and more people at the dinner party, and Han Qian also wanted to go to Niu Qiudong to say hello. When he opened the door and looked at the people in the room, Han Qian was slightly stunned and said softly, "Huh? When are you coming over?" The father-in-law and mother-in-law, Niu Qiudong, Cheng Jin, Tu Xiao, Qian Ling, Yang Jianfeng and other older generations were sitting in the room. Lin Mend was also here. Han Qian didn't care about any hostile relationship and asked Yu Shisai to come over. Serve tea, turn around and run away. Not long after, Yu Shisai, who was dressed as a princess, was caught by Han Qian. Tonight, Yu Shisai wore a small crown on her head, with long golden hair and a pink princess dress, which gave her a bit of a fairy tale feel. Yu Shisai poured tea and thanked several elders for coming to her birthday. Niu Qiudong said calmly while holding tea. "Poetry. You have a nickname at the Yamen Gate, called the Desperate Second Wife. You should also pay attention to your health when working hard. I am very proud that there are children like you in Binhai City who study abroad and return to China to contribute to the construction of the motherland. Yu Shisai bowed and thanked, and Lin Men followed. She Ci is indeed a very hard-working girl. This is obvious to everyone. Lao Wen. Xiao Nuan's friends are very good. Our two families will travel more in the future. I am also very happy that Xiao Nuan wants to fly solo. When she smiled. Children are just messing around, but we are all old, so we just want to watch the children mess around. Don't worry about trivial things. We will find a place to have a drink and talk about old times later. I'm just waiting for your words. The mother-in-law held Shixi's hand and thanked her for her help, while Qianling was more direct. A red envelope and a house note with the words "Happy Birthday" and the inconvenience of living with children. Perhaps the only person who is awake in the world is Qianling. Han Qian was not here to watch their chat. He had other things to do. He went out and stood on the second floor and looked downstairs. Quan Yunbiao, Sul Yang, and others had been surrounded. Wu Saiquan was surrounded by people. The city was full of people. Knowing that Wu Saiquan was being protected by Han Qian. After Han Qian was thinking about who to go downstairs first, there was a noise from the first floor. Looking along the line of sight of everyone, Han Qian was slightly startled. Why did these girls come together? Yan Qingqing wears a black hot silver tube top evening dress. The warmth of a white bronzing turtleneck evening gown. Cai Qinghu with blue and white porcelain vase. Yates in a dark blue short skirt and evening gown. The nursery rhyme of a goose yellow conservative dress. Wu Qingxi in antique floral Chong Sam. The burgundy low cut and deep V logo Shen. Qianwan in a cute brown short skirt. Wu Yang in a light green trailing dress. There is also Tu Kun dressed up as a little princess. Han Qian rubbed his eyes. No wonder he only saw Yu Shisai in the hotel. Did these girls come together after discussing it? When Han Qian was about to go downstairs, the Yang sisters walked towards the girls. 100 flowers bloom, vying for beauty. Han Qian, who was originally the protagonist of this party, has been reduced to a sideshow. The appearance of several girls completely shocked everyone. But Han Qian is looking for someone. Where is Aunt Ji, who is gentle and quiet? While Han Qian was looking around, Ji Jing slowly appeared at the door of the hotel, covering her chest with one hand and covering her skirt with the other. Aunt Ji was wearing either an evening dress or a formal dress, but a tube top skirt. At this time, Ji Jing seemed nervous, looking around without knowing what she was doing. Han Qian took a deep breath. If a few girls hadn't deliberately teased her, would Aunt Ji be able to wear such revealing clothes? Han Qian took off his floral suit jacket and whistled to Wu Saiquan downstairs. The latter caught the drop suit and trotted towards Ji Jing. Ji Jing finally felt relieved after putting on her suit. When she stopped wasting, Han Qian carefully noticed that except for Yang Lan and Yan Qingqing, all the girls had a hint of unwillingness and anger in their eyes. Evening dress, whoever is younger is embarrassed. Their appearance also announced that the dinner was about to start. Taking advantage of this period of time, Yan Qingqing held her warm hand and walked around the first floor looking for some business partners. Cai Qinghu and Wu Qingxi looked for the members of the crew. No one was surprised that actress Wu Qingxi celebrated Yu Shisai's birthday. They have a good relationship. Qianwan and Yang Jiao were heartlessly talking about what they were talking about. Yates, Ji Jing, and Yang Lan walked side by side. The two women blocked Ji Jing's body intentionally or unintentionally. Ji Jing had no social fear, but she had severe misophobia. She didn't even want to shake hands, except for a few familiar people around her. Personally, she wouldn't even shake hands with a woman, let alone a man. Han Qian walked down the stairs, and there was commotion at the door again. Weiju, the slut, appeared at the door wearing a star-studded suit. The sudden appearance of a well-known star is really surprising, and Weiju and Wu Qingxi are not at the same level at all. Now Weiju is no longer a puppet that capitalists can play with. When Weiju saw Han Qian, he opened his arms and shouted loudly, "Mr. Neptune! Am I not late?" Han Qian stood on the stairs, pointed at Weiju and cursed with a smile. "You damn scumbag, could you please pay attention to your wording?" The simple conversation made everyone present know that the relationship between the two was not as simple as cooperation. The two hugged each other on the first floor, which instantly aroused the rejection of several girls and caused goosebumps all over their bodies. Han Qian took Weiju and introduced him. "My good buddies Suliang and Guan Yunbiao." "Simple heat," Weiju said softly. "I'm going to the crew. If you have something to do, let Daijin take care of you. This guy is idle as well." "Okay. I'll go find him later." Han Qian and his two best buddies wandered around the first floor of the dinner party. When the guests met, they called Mr. Han, took a sip of wine, and handing out business cards here was the stupidest thing to do, because they either received an invitation or did not receive an invitation. The people who come here are all well-known people from Binhai and Jingxi. Guan Yunbiao patted his shoulder and pointed at a young man holding a notebook in the distance. "It seems like he is a little internet celebrity. Kick him out." Han Qian smiled and shook his head. "They are all people who want to make a living. As long as it doesn't affect the guests, let him be. You go over and ask him if he needs a place with a better location. It can also be regarded as promoting our Binhai City group." "Okay." When Guan Yunbiao appeared next to the little internet celebrity, the little internet celebrity was frightened and at a loss. When he heard that Mr. Han was going to prepare a suitable place for him, the little internet celebrity asked softly if it was outside the hotel. Guan Yunbiao shook his head. He shook his head and asked softly, "You can put the computer wherever you like, but I suggest you use the camera in our hotel. I'll let you live broadcast and you help us take the video. If you don't know how, you can find someone you are familiar with. Mr. Han will tell us Binhai City will provide opportunities for young people who work hard, as long as you work hard." The little internet celebrity was a little flattered, then Guan Yunbiao snapped his fingers, and the waiter brought red wine. "Give both grace and power." Guan Yunbiao is very good at this. After handing the camera to the internet celebrity, Guan Yunbiao turned around and was about to leave. When he saw several distinguished guests appearing at the door of the hotel, Guan Yunbiao sat down on the ground with a pop. "Why are these Jade Emperors here?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 748. Several people appeared at the door. They were about 40 or 50 years old, both male and female. Guan Yunbiao sat on the ground and dialed Tu Xiao's number tremblingly. Not long after, all the elders in the private room on the second floor ran out and trotted all the way to the place. The entrance of the hotel. Niu Qiudong stretched out his hands. Deputy Sun, Director Qin, Secretary General Li. No one expected them to appear here. As for Tu Xiao, he was not even qualified to step forward and speak. Han Qian was stunned when he looked at the people at the door. Cai Qinghu suddenly appeared and said softly, "Sun Zhenmin, I don't know who specifically invited him here. Qin Yazu, the top leader of the Provincial Public Security Department. I know he will come here today for Fenglun and Kui Li. He is looking for you. Secretary General Li is my elder. I want to call you aunt. It should be Cheng Jin who called me to talk about the two of us. As for the two people behind me, they are my colleagues." Han Qian whispered. "Aunt? Just call me aunt. Yes. My aunt without a surname, she is taking care of me when I am so embarrassed in the province. In addition, I heard that she is handling the inheritance my father left for me. You are so lucky, I have to go there. I don't want to go. Didn't I, Monkey King, meet Patriarch Bodhi? He could crush me to death with one finger. Mister, you think too much. Can't you crush him to death? Blow it and you'll be gone. Don't talk about you. I'm nervous too. Han Qian would never believe that these three people had nothing to do with Cai Qinghu tonight. If Cai Qinghu had nothing to do with her, how could she go against Niu Qiudong? Her grandfather has been dead for a long time, and the money is still being transferred to the card. Are you saying that Cai Qinghu has no background? She is the specially appointed Lady Cai. As soon as Cai Qinghu left, Han Qian heard a sinister laugh from behind, and Han Qian lowered his head and cursed angrily. Zhao Hanqing, are you humming petty? Who asked you to tell me that I'm here in front of you? Let's say it first. I sent you here, but I didn't invite you. The province has already started to pay attention to you. All your things are on senior official son's desk. Qin Yezu is simply interested in you. Oh. My father has talked to him about you, and he is half of my father's student. Tell me. What is your master's purpose? Let me ask you for advice on how to find more wives. You. Don't leave. Let's find a place to practice tomorrow. You should get through tonight first. This time Han Qian was really nervous. There was his mother-in-law in front of the city government office, and Qian Ling and the others were helping to support him. Han Qian was really not worried about anything, but in this province except for Cai Qinghu, even Li Jinhan might not be able to intervene. Sweat appeared on Han Qian's face. At this time, Tong Yao suddenly appeared and handed Han Qian a handkerchief and said softly. You are going to jail. I will visit you every day. Han Qian turned around and glared at nursery rhyme. Get out. He took a deep breath, then trotted up to the big bosses and said humbly. The Bodhi patriarchs, not, the big guys, nor, Mr. Cheng, what should I call you? Han Qian was really a little panicked. He was so anxious that he didn't know what to call him. Her actions caused Qin Yezu to frown, and also made Secretary General Li laugh. Qin Yezu pointed at Han Qian and looked at Cheng Jin, frowning. Just this thing to force Feng Lun and Go De Peo to be obedient. Cheng Jin smiled and nodded. It's really just this thing that made Bin Hai such a mess, but... Don't look at him like this. He has no future in front of the elders. He was the one who got the 6 people arrested in the case of the Mid-Autumn Festival Gala into trouble. Damn it, the one who died was related to him. Let's go upstairs and talk. After finishing speaking, Secretary General Li took Cai Qinghu's hand and smiled. I think it sounds good. I feel nervous about meeting my parents-in-law. I'm not interested in the birthday dinner. Let's go upstairs and talk about Qinghu. Han Qian nodded and bowed to lead the way. Everyone on the first floor stared at the scene in front of them with wide eyes. The birthday party of a young deputy director in Binhai actually alarmed several big bosses in the province. What the hell is this Han Qian capable of? When walking up the stairs, Secretary General Li suddenly spoke. Which one is Nuan? Which one is Yan Qingqing? Just as Cai Qinghu was about to speak, Secretary General Li frowned. I didn't ask you, Han Qian, just tell me. Han Qian scratched his head and pointed at Wen Nuan and Yan Qingqing, who were chatting with someone in the distance. Secretary General Li glanced at them and frowned. The appearance is pretty good, but the warmth in the white skirt? The little phoenix from Binhai City? The aura is quite cold, and there is a bit of heroism missing between the eyebrows, which is not good. Han Qian muttered in his heart that it was very good, and then Secretary General Li said again. The little girl in black clothes seems to be trying to make a mistake, but her head is a little short, so that's it. I think the little girl in the suit is pretty good, soft and weak. Aunt G. No one seems to have anything bad to say about Aunt G now. Why? Han Qian sighed feebly. As soon as he reached the second floor, senior official Sun spoke. Okay. You go down and do your work first. Let's have a good chat after you're done. Where's Li Jinhai? Ask him to come over quickly, and that Luo Shanda. Let me tell you the main things about coming to Binhai this time. First. Someone recommended Cheng Jin, second. Li Jinhai's position, third is Luo Shanda's matter, and finally is Han Qian's matter. Cheng Jin, you ask someone to prepare some food. After a day of meetings, you came over quickly and didn't drink any water. After finishing his words, Han Qian turned his head and roared at the first floor. Yates! Miss Yates! The soul calling started again, and Yates had to give up the riverfront on the first floor and trotted all the way to the bottom of the stairs in high heels. Then Han Qian told her to prepare a home-cooked meal. The uncles and aunts were a little hungry. After saying this, Qin Yaezu frowned. Don't get too close. Han Qian nodded confusedly, and then said to Yeji. Just pour some hot water for the policeman, he's not hungry. As soon as he finished speaking, Qin Yaezu kicked Han Qian in the butt. Han Qian patted his butt and ran downstairs. Qin Yaezu frowned and said. Cheng Jin, Niu Qiudong, don't lie to me, is this all? Cheng Jin and Niu Qiudong looked at each other and nodded, saying in unison. That's really what it is. After saying this, Cheng Jin continued. Just like this, on the night of the Mid-Autumn Festival massacre, he used himself to exchange for the safety of all the hostages, seriously injured Daniel, made Toad surrender, interrogated a drug-addicted criminal, and he caught 2 of them and sent them to the city bureau. I caught 2 of them in District 8 as bait. They are very pitiful children. Don't bully them. I felt bad when I saw the injuries all over their bodies. Qin Yaezu frowned, and then Secretary General Sun spoke. Is he the one who put a gun to Go Daepeo's head and threatened to kill him if Go Daepeo dared to touch Qinghu Lake? I heard that he broke one of Go Daepeo's toes in Swan Lake and shot himself, saying it was Kui Li call taxi. Cheng Jin shook his head. I don't know exactly how he was injured, but I know that Go Daepeo really died beside him. This can be regarded as solving a hidden trouble for Qinghu. I like Han Qian very much, Sun senior official, you can investigate me at any time, don't say I'm not corrupt. I was addicted to cigarettes last year and spent 25 yuan of public funds to buy a pack of cigarettes. How many years will I be sentenced? Sun Jianmin frowned. Can't you be a bit serious? For 25 yuan of cigarettes, you can lower the price. No. I'm coughing. Several senior officials from the government office entered the private room to rest. Not long after, there was a knock on the door of the private room, and 2 special waiters brought food. Sun Jianmin did not recognize them, but Qin Yaezu felt that the 2 looked familiar. The Secretary General knows these 2 guys. Weiju. Kingxi, you 2 are down and working as waiters. How could she not know 2 popular stars? And Kingxi and Qinghu are very close sisters, Wu Kingxi said with a charming smile. It would be better for the juniors to prepare dinner for you. As for Weiju, he and Han Qian are friends. No. We are good buddies. If you need anything, call me anytime. My name is Weiju, Weiju's Wei, Weiju's Ju. Qin Yaezu yelled, get out of here. Weiju put down the plate and ran away. On the first floor, due to the arrival of several big bosses, the dinner was delayed because Han Qian was taken away. Li Jinhe and other elders blocked Han Qian in a corner, and the mother-in-law frowned. I'm not surprised that people from the province are here. Why are these people here? Han Qian raised his hands in surrender and lamented. Mom, I really don't know. I know that Secretary General's son is here for King Hu, but I haven't received any news about the decision made last night. People came here today. You said I didn't either. Can you please invite them over? Tu Xiao stood aside and whispered. I was a little scared when I saw Qin Yazu. I was in prison once and was arrested. At that time, he was still the director of Binhai City. Han Qian frowned and said. Are you afraid of a hammer? You haven't broken any laws. How about I drive them away? After saying this, 3 or 4 slaps fell on the back of his head. Han Qian was stunned. Li Jinhe glared at Han Qian. Be careful yourself. Mom, don't worry. I'm absolutely careful. As soon as the elders left, Lu Guangming and others came over. Lu Guangming whispered. Lao Luo can't be arrested, can he? 4 people are busy, but 3 people are boring. Han Qian sighed helplessly. I don't know, I'll ask someone to ask. Yates. Miss Yet. After the roar, Yates did not come, but Luo Shen came, stepped forward, punched Han Qian in the stomach, and said angrily. Han Qian clutched his stomach and said angrily. Luo Shen tilted his head and said. I really don't know you. I really don't know you. Can you please stop blocking me? There are so many people here. I'll take care of you, and then I'll go upstairs to get scolded. I'll explain to you after the dinner. The crowd dispersed, and when they saw Wen Nuan and Yan Qingqing approaching, Han Qian turned around and gave a headbutt to the wainscot. Stop asking, stop asking. I don't know anything. Well, double the monthly pass on the 29th. See how hard I work, give me some. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 749. 2 girls, one black and one white, appeared next to Han Qian, holding champagne in their hands. Han Qian lowered his head and explained the identities of the people upstairs in a low voice. Nuan didn't have much reaction after hearing this, and Yan Qingqing said softly. I saw Secretary General Li and Cai King Hu being intimate. If she doesn't have fun and insists on calling her parents, it would be boring. After saying this, Nuan glanced at Yan Qingqing and said softly. It's like you didn't call your parents. Now I'm the only one who hasn't called your parents. Brother Qian, go play and don't take it too seriously. We don't have to worry about our shoes being straight if our feet are crooked. Han Qian really had to leave the corner. Several upstarts from Bin County came. When Han Qian stepped forward to warm up, Wu Qingxi appeared next to Han Qian. Several people from Bin County were golfing. I have seen it on the court, and Wu Qingxi knows it better. When a popular actress plays the role of assistant, Han Qian's identity becomes even more mysterious. The conversation was lively, not about business. Han Qian looked around for the bastard Lin Zongheng. After asking Sul Yang, he found out that this guy didn't come at all. Sul Yang said softly. When I was chatting with the eldest lady of the Luo family just now, the eldest lady said that if Lin Zongheng dared to come today, she would have his legs broken. Her words were full of resentment and it didn't sound like she was joking. Han Qian glanced at Luo Shen in the distance and curled his lips. She doesn't dare to do anything here, but that won't be the case outside. Why don't you take the opportunity to start a side job? Sul Yang shook his head and whispered. Little Yang Jia has been staring at me. It's probably Mr. Yan's intention. I don't have much potential. It's enough for you to be busy in the front while I clean the battlefield for you in the back. As I am now, my father-in-law's threshold it's almost being trampled to the ground, and today several of Li's cousins called and asked if they could join in the fun and see the world, but I didn't agree. Han Qian frowned and smiled bitterly. Just as he was about to speak, 2 people Han Qian couldn't name came over with wine glasses to say hello. Young Master Han, Brother Su. Han Qian smiled back. Suliang turned around and asked the waiter to bring the wine and softly introduced their identities. Yu Zheng, the owner of Shanghai Flower Hotel, and Zhang Zhen, deputy director of Ben County Tourism Bureau, took the wine glass and handed it to Han Qian. Suliang Liang smiled at the two of them. Boss Yu. Director Zhang. The four of them clinked their wine glasses, and Zhang Zhen laughed softly. Young Master Han, this time we jointly develop the tourism industry in Bingxian County and Binhai is a big deal. I heard that the design and development of Longhui was planned by young Master Han and brother Su. This time it can drive the development of Ben County. Tourism industry, on behalf of the citizens of Bingxian County, I would like to propose a toast to both of you. It was just a small sip. Suliang put down the glass and said with a smile. Zhang Ju's words are serious. We are also following the arrangements of the leaders of the Yamenmen. Although Ben County has the intention to divide Binhai, Bingxian and Binhai are one family after all, regardless of you and me. This time we can share the burden for the Yamenmen. It's also our responsibility. After saying this, Suliang looked at Yu Zheng and smiled. I heard that Boss Yu is getting a big deal. Yu Zheng smiled. To share the worries of the leaders at the Yamenmen gave me an order to reserve only 2 high-end suites, and the lowest price must be less than 300. I also have troubles that I can't tell you. For our sake tourism industry, let alone less than 300 yuan, I can't control even 200 yuan. I heard that Longhui is planning to build 2 hotels, Mr. Han. Brother Liang. You can't be too partial. Suliang laughed after hearing this. Drain traffic. Absolutely drain traffic. Boss Yu, don't say that we, Qianer, are partial. Didn't Wu Sijuan get some advertising space on street lamps and flower beds? Let's sit down and chat when we have time. We are all a family. Although we can't make the decision, I can guarantee that it is. Let you Shanghai Flowers choose first. Brother Liang, you can't tease an old man like me. Si Guan is here. Come on, let's go over and have a chat. This girl has to give me some respect, right? Suliang was at ease at the party, handed the wine glass in his hand to Han Qian, and then took the two of them to find Wu Siquan. Everyone would make money. After Suliang left, Han Qian stood alone in a daze. At this time, Wu Qingxi and Weiju ran to the stage and announced the start of the birthday dinner. The lights dimmed for a while. As the music played, Yu Shisai walked out accompanied by the girls. Her exquisite princess dress made her the protagonist tonight. Han Qian held the wine glass in both hands and looked at Luo Luo's generous poems, murmuring in his heart. Where's the cake? Everyone in the hall commented on the girls on the stage. The names that appeared most often in their mouths were Glorious Yang Lan and Minister Yang. Yu Shisai, Vice Director of Changrong Group. And the little-known headmaster. And that woman named Wu Yang. It's not that they are too stunning and overwhelm other girls, but because these women have little to do with Han Qian, and of course Yang Lan is the most popular. Brother Qianer. I like this Yang Lan. Han Qian turned to look at the two guys beside him and frowned. Do you two want to be embarrassed? Lu Shengguo pinched her chin and nodded. Luo Fu frowned. Lu Shengguo said it. What does it have to do with me? I really like that Yang Xia, a sister of the times, her beauty is spread all over the world. She has that flavor. Han Qian took a deep breath and whispered. I'll sue your sister. The sudden appearance of these two second-generation ancestors did not surprise Han Qian, but it was not expected either. Luo Fu took Han Qian's arm and whispered. Just for fun, just throw some sand. Xiao and I are worried that your place is shabby, so we came over to help you support the place. It seems that we are a bit redundant. Are there any older girls? Introduce some to us, and we'll go have a supper. Night. I'll go find Guan Yun Biao to find you some in the shampoo room. If you dare to find it for me, I will tell my sister. Get out. I don't have time to play with you two children. While they were talking, the cakes began to be divided on the table. Seeing Wen Nuan blinking his big misty eyes, Han Jian was a little curious about what Yu Shisai wished for. He got the cake as he wished, and there was no special taste in his mouth. Then a complete plate of cakes was delivered to Han Jian by Yu Shisai. Wen Nuan pointed upstairs and Han Jian sighed. You two can play by yourselves. I'll go upstairs to meet some distinguished guests. If you two make trouble, I'll ask Lu Shengge and Luo Shen to take you back. Lu Shengguo patted his chest and said seriously. Don't worry, Anan isn't here. If Lu Shengguo didn't mention this person, Han Jian would almost forget about him. After Han Jian left, Luo Fu put his arm around Lu Shengguo's shoulders and said calmly. Do you think Lin Zongheng is going to be pissed off at home right now? My personal suggestion is that I pretend to be a fool, you pretend to be the second-generation ancestor, and we can disgust him. Lu Shengguo turned her head and glanced at Luo Fu, frowning. I didn't bring a bodyguard. I brought 10 of them, 5 of them were retired special forces from abroad. They are not said to be able to fight, but they can definitely withstand beatings. Walk. After saying this, Luo Fu waved and shouted at Han Jian's back. Brother-in-law. The two of us went to play. Han Jian, who went upstairs, almost fell down on the stairs and turned to glare at Luo Fu. Piss off. Han Jian is destined to be the protagonist tonight. All the famous people in Binhai are here. The big boss from the provincial government office comes to attend the party, 2 young masters from the capital come to warm up the party, and 2 popular stars are the hosts. 1 year and 3 months. A common man whose name no one knew was transformed into the brightest star in Binhai city. It surpassed the little golden dragon back then. Captured today's little phoenix. Li Jinhe watched Han Jian go upstairs, covering his forehead and saying weakly. I have a feeling now that my little white-eyed wolf is not worthy of my son. Qianling, please comfort me. Qianling held a duck head in her hand and said vaguely. Xiao Jian's growth is indeed so fast that sometimes we can't see his movements clearly. In the whole Binhai, even in the province, his growth is the fastest among young and old. He is only 2 years old. 16 years old. Li Jinhe sighed. Hey. Although half of this little brat's success is due to Feng Lun, I didn't see him having this ability when I married Wen Nuan. At that time, what we talked about every day was laundry, cooking, and housework. Lao Wen, you know something. Wen Shi, who lowered his head to fill his stomach, raised his head and glanced at his wife, then nodded. I know a little, but I don't know that much. Xiao Jian's character is actually very simple. He is in this life. I guess he doesn't have much future. If he is not greedy for money and lustful, he will lose some desire to work hard. Wait until he puts people around him. The girls' careers have been taken care of, I guess. They won't show up in the future, which is a pity. Qianling nodded. So I want to transfer the shares in my hand to Xiao Jian. Don't say how long it will take. I have absolute trust in Xiao Jian. In the future, he can take care of my sister Wan Wan when I am gone. Qianling, can you please stop putting more pressure on my son? He can rest when he is tired. Look at how he has lived for more than 400 days. He licked blood on the tip of a knife. You have seen him succeed. Who has seen him succeed? The bitterness and pain behind it? These are not what I care about. What I care about is, no, I'm too angry. You guys are chatting while I beat my daughter. After saying this, Li Jinhe walked towards Wen Nuan aggressively. Xiao Nuan watched her mother walk towards her with a bad look on her face, handed the cake in her hand to Tong Yao, then turned around and ran to the second floor. What kind of face-saving thing do I care about? Not getting beaten is the way to go. As soon as they ran up to the second floor, Nuan and Cai Kinghu bumped into each other. Cai Kinghu looked at the cake on his chest, then gritted his teeth and looked at the reckless girl. When? Nuan. You are sick. Why are you shouting? Let me wipe it for you, Aunt. Kinghu, you are not older than me. Warm. I will fight with you. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 750. Han Qian was sitting on the chair in the box, with his hands on his knees and his back straight, looking like a good baby. He couldn't understand what the big guys were talking about. Niu Qiudong was talking seriously, while Cheng Jin was looking at the roof with a mouthful of food in his mouth. Smoking. As if it had nothing to do with him. Han Qian was sitting on pins and needles. He didn't know what to talk about with these big guys. When he felt discouraged, Qin Yaozu spoke. Han Qian, right? What is your relationship with Feng Lun? Han Qian said in a low voice. You're a big official, whatever you say is relevant, as long as you don't hit me. I'll sign for any crime, even if you say I bombed the Pentagon, I'll admit it. Don't tell me here whether you have these things or not. I asked you before I came here. It's useless to use force on you. Some people say you are a stone in the pit. Don't pretend to be a coward. What are you asking? Just say whatever you say. Han Qian raised his head, glanced at Qin Yaozu, and whispered. Then you have to ask about business matters. I can't tell you about private life matters. After Qin Yaozu stood up, Han Qian hurriedly got up and hid behind the chair. Qin Yaozu looked at this unruly man up and down. It was similar to what was said in the information. Many people had also reminded him that when communicating with Han Qian, you can only pick out his words and listen to them. You must not follow his words. You will unknowingly he fell into his trap. Qin Yaozu took a deep breath, and then Sun Jianmin spoke. Young man, we are not here to torture and extract confessions. You don't need to treat us as leaders, just as elders. I heard that Feng Lun has been in contact with you after he escaped. Is this the case? Han Qian raised his head and looked at Sun Jianmin, then nodded vigorously. Yes. A few days ago, Secretary Niu and I were arrested, and they were dropped like green onions in a factory in Dongcheng. What's his purpose in finding you? He said he could surrender, but he asked me to give Kui Li a new identity, but I didn't have the ability. I didn't agree, and then I was hung up. Han Qian looked aggrieved, then Qin Yaozu frowned. Why didn't you call the police? I called the police. Then a poor young man was stripped of his clothes and dropped at the construction site of Longhuiwai. When I went to Dongcheng, I thought about calling the police, but, you ask Secretary Niu if he is willing to let his daughter a heroic sacrifice. Niu Qiudong glared at Han Qian, who sat on the chair and smiled when he raised his head again. I know you all suspect that I have a good relationship with Feng Lun, or you have heard that I have scared others with Feng Lun. If Feng Lun commits a crime and escapes, you should ask the Yamanman instead of me, a poor commoner. Feng Lun is here, I'm free outside, right? The few people caught in the prison now have a lot to do with me, right? As a director, you don't go and arrest people, but you interrogate me here? Do you want face? After saying this, Qin Yaozu stood up, and Han Qian took off his shirt slowly. The 2 bullet wounds on his shoulders made Qin Yaozu frown, and Han Qian said calmly. You say that Feng Lun and I are accomplices? I beg you to read more information, what Toad and the others have said, right? Feng Lun's right leg has a penetrating injury. Your information also records that I bled excessively on the sea. I might have died if I hadn't been discovered. I beat the bully to serious injury because he insulted the little girl. I knocked the Toad unconscious. How many people saw me shooting Feng Lun? Do you now suspect me of acting with him? Do you believe it or not if I put the 4 big words stinky and shameless on your face? Qin Yezu frowned, and at this time Sun Jianmin was a good person again and said softly. Xiao Qian. Don't be so excited. If we came to interrogate you, we wouldn't be here, but at the Yamen gate. We came here this time to understand the situation. Lao Qin, don't be excited. If you have anything to say, talk to us. Qin Yezu frowned and said coldly. What did you say? You're starting to curse me. Han Qian raised his eyebrows. Should I scold you? Go De Peo almost beat Xiao to death and kidnapped Tanjeo. When he escaped, all surveillance systems were disabled. What happened? Once Go De Peo dies, this matter is over. I treat you like ancestors. Wait, you are interrogating me like a criminal. What am I talking about? I didn't go to school, and I came from a rural area without quality education. If you beat me, I will accept any unjust case. You won't tell me how many times I was assassinated in a year. I didn't ask you to compensate for my injuries, and you asked me about my relationship with Feng Lun. I said he was my biological father, do you believe it? Qin Yezu said coldly. How do you explain what you asked Feng Lun to threaten Yang Jianfeng a few days ago? After saying this, Han Qian said with a teasing look on his face. Hey, my brother-in-law who threatened Secretary Jinxi alerted you. Why didn't you come over to ask when Go De Peo called me to kill my ex-wife? I didn't see you there when Go De Peo threatened my wife. What's the reaction? What's going on? The officials' relatives are relatives, and we are just bitches? We deserve it. Feng Lun threatened Yang Jianfeng? Wei Ju and the others were all present at the time. Who can prove that it was Feng Lun on the phone? Qin Yezu said again. What happened to the bullet? My wife has a gun. Is it okay if she wears the wrong clothes? Feng Lun pointed the gun at my head and put the bullets in my pocket. Is it okay? There is a shooting gallery in Yezai Pavilion. Is it okay if I bring the bullets to check whether they are qualified? Foreigners, you don't care if you are an anchor and molests a young girl from our country? What? It's not within the jurisdiction of your provincial department. I'm asking you now. I can interrogate you for 24 hours. We're waiting for you. Do you want to put handcuffs on me? Seeing that he was about to follow this bastard's way, Sun Jianmin and Secretary General Li stopped Qin Yezu at the same time. He was too stubborn, and it was this kind of personality that was most easily deceived by Han Qian, a bastard. Sun Jianmin took out the cigarette and threw it to Han Qian, smiling. Xiao Qian smokes first. I should be about the same age as your father. You won't suffer if I call you my nephew. We can just talk as usual. I heard that Feng Lun took advantage of some people and let the city. The spearhead is pointed at you. Is there such a thing? Han Qian lit a cigarette and said softly. It does happen. Feng Lun gave me 2 lists twice. He also had conditions. I told Mr. Cheng about this. Feng Lun is now running away, spreading the word that there are corrupt officials in Binhai City, causing trouble among the people. Feeling uncomfortable, he put forward a condition. Toad surrendered, and he provided a list of names, but I wanted to provide living expenses for Toad's parents and children, 5,000 a month, and I agreed. After all, this is not an illegal thing, and we can't let others do it. Old people and children starved to death, so the Toad surrendered, and I got the list. Sun Jianmin nodded, and then Niu Qiudong spoke. Xiao Qian, why don't I know about this? Han Qian turned to look at Niu Qiudong and chuckled. Because Mr. Cheng brought me and Qinghu together. Qinghu has no father or mother. Mr. Cheng takes care of Qinghu as a father and a mother. Because I often quarrel with my father about my private life, so I made this list. Naturally, I have to hand it over to Mr. Cheng. You won't say that it's illegal for me to do this, so I'll set it on fire after I get the list. Sun Jianmin pointed at Han Qian and smiled helplessly. I didn't say what you did wrong. There are quite a few corrupt officials who have been cleaned up in Binhai City this year. Although you are said to have merit, you have also done it. I am very curious about your shooting at Fenglun. Did you touch it before? Gun. Han Qian nodded. I have touched both military and civilian pistols, rifles, and shotguns. I was under too much stress when I was handling matters for Honor General Manager Yan Qingqing. My general manager took me to Jingxi Shooting Gallery to experience real guns. Shooting. Qin Yezu sneered. Is there such a coincidence? Han Qian frowned and scoffed. It's quite a coincidence that you are the director. Little bastard, do you believe I'm going to beat you up now? You beat me up? The official is beating me up. Oh, your uncle asked me to hit you. Han Qian was stunned, then lowered his head and said. I'm sorry, I was pretending. Qin Yezu was slightly startled. Are you giving in now? What's going on with this bastard's character? Sun Jianmin glared at Qin Yezu and continued. I heard that Luo Shanda has been very close to you recently. Not recently, we have always had a good relationship. Lao Luo and I have known each other since I got divorced and had nothing. Si Quan introduced us to each other at that time. Later, the taxes on Yezai Pavilion and my ex-wife's purchase of the company were all taxed. Now I work as a white-collar worker in Glory, as a consultant in my ex-wife's company, and Yezeg is a partner. Naturally, I have to get to know Lao Luo. We have had a few drinks. Oh. You can check any accounts between me and Luo Shanda, right? Yes. Is it illegal to fight landlords? Haha, that doesn't count. Li Dehai had a grudge against you and then suddenly left Binhai. Because of this matter, his son and I have a bit of a conflict. When Wei Tiancheng left Binhai, you went to smash up the Huishan group. Yes. I went. I was almost beaten to death in the Yezai Pavilion Valley. The video surveillance showed that Go Depeo went to Yezai Pavilion with Wei Tiancheng. Naturally, I wanted to ask for an explanation. After I went there, I was beaten to death by more than 200 people. People were blocked in the company, and Ho Kong told me that he was looking for someone to kill me, so I thought it was a mass brawl, and I would be fined and jailed. After finishing his words, Qin Yezu frowned. Ho Kong suffered an inhuman beating before his death. Han Qian frowned. When more than 200 people fight, isn't it normal to get beaten? I was the one who fought in the past. Why didn't you call the police? Call the police? At that time, Secretary Niu called me and told me that the trouble was over. Why should I call the police? I called the police, and then someone would take the blame. But someone still killed me. Why didn't I catch Ho Kong and send him to the Yamen gate? It's a pity that he ran away and committed suicide the next day. I don't know if he took the blame for someone else, you have to ask Secretary Niu about that. When the words came out, Niu Qiudong said angrily. Han Qian, please be careful what you say. I'll tell you when it's almost time. I want to ask you how long will it last? You have served the Yeomanmen with meritorious service. I admit that I am practicing favoritism and want to show you favor, but it's also so that you can provide more information about Fenglun. Han Qian glanced at Niu Qiudong innocently and said softly. I didn't say what you did was wrong. Why are you anxious? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 751. Niu Qiudong was so angry that Han Qian was about to explode. Sun Jianmin stood up and walked behind Han Qian. He pressed the cunning man's shoulders with his hands and said softly. Xiao Qian. If you have any news about Feng Lun, you must tell us. He is very dangerous and a cancer to you and the people. How many times have you seen Feng Lun since then? Once. Have you ever thought about catching him? While he was talking, Han Qian took out his mobile phone and called Guan Yunbiao. A few minutes later, Guan Yunbiao ran up panting. When he pushed away, the guy swallowed. Han Qian pointed at Guan Yunbiao and said softly. He and Kui Li fought, but they didn't fight. There were still wounds on their arms. Secretary Niu's daughter was hung on the roof at that time. You can ask, by the way. We went to see Feng Lun with knives. The knives have been broken and should be taken away by the Yamanman. Sun Zhenmin glanced at Guan Yunbiao, bent down and whispered in Han Qian's ear. The little girl from the Niu family said that you brought a gun, and Yang Jianfeng also said that you threatened him with a gun not to cooperate with Chang Xiang. Han Qian smiled calmly. The toy gun was filled with cement. Yates's driving recorder recorded the video of her messing with the toy gun at that time. You can watch it frame by frame. If you didn't mention Niu Ziahua, I almost forgot. Look at the palm of my hand. Han Qian stretched out his hand for Sun Zhenmin to see, and then Niu Qiudong spoke. Senior son, there was a little conflict between Ziahua and Han Qian. She was frightened and started talking nonsense. When she got home, I slapped her twice and put her in solitary confinement. Sun Zhenmin raised his head and glanced at Niu Qiudong. The meaning in his eyes made Niu Qiudong shut up, and then Sun Zhenmin continued. Han Qian. You seem to have done a lot of illegal and disciplinary things. I heard that you got the land development in Dongcheng by threatening the Yamanmen. In addition, I heard that you calculated 2 pieces of land at the Yamanmen, and the price you got seems to be very low. Han Qian chuckled. Illegal and disciplinary? You can't do it? I'm a citizen. As for the land in Dongcheng, everyone is responsible for national construction. I can make people live in the houses they like and the price is lower than the average price. I have this ability. Why is it at the Yamen gate? Why don't you use me instead of those profiteers who make money from the hard-earned money of the people? Besides, I don't seem to have made a penny from the land in Dongcheng, right? You gave it to Wen Nuan and Yan Qingqing, right? Changxiang and Glory are the largest enterprises in Binhai City. They have strong funds, guaranteed construction quality, and a reputation that convinces the people. I don't know if you have seen it. All the buildings built in Dongcheng are bungalows, and there is no pool area. This is wrong. What about Shuncheng Group getting the land? Shuncheng Group buys tools, cotton-padded jackets, and brand new labor protection for sanitation workers without asking for anything in return. It also provides reflective clothing and hot breakfast in winter. They pay for Binhai and Binhai gives back. There is nothing wrong with this, right? It cannot be ruled out that Shuncheng did it intentionally. After saying this, Han Qian turned to look at Sun Zhenmin and frowned. You've never done business, have you? Sun Zhenmin was stunned for a moment and nodded. Han Qian frowned at this. Then what are you talking about with me? It was quiet, and the air in the room was solid. Sun Zhenmin tilted his head and looked at Han Qian. For a moment, he couldn't get off the stage. Cheng Jian, Niu Qiudong, and Li Jinhai stood up at the same time and raised their right hands. Han Qian wanted to get up but was pinned down by Sun Zhenmin. This bastard is really annoying. Sun Zhenmin was silent for a moment and said softly. That's right. Li Jinhan said that it is difficult to catch Han Qian. Just now Cheng Jin and Li Jinhai also said that Han Qian, a child born in the year of the rabbit, has many intentions and will leave his mark every step of the way. Han Qian sighed helplessly. If you want to call me a dog, just say it. Anyway, Binhai calls me a mad dog behind his back. The only thing I broke the law was when I was young and ignorant and misappropriated public funds from my ex-wife's company. Later, My wife made up for it, so I didn't pursue this matter. It's a big bargain. I've never done anything else illegal, including Li Dehai and Wei Tiancheng going abroad. You've never done business, have you? With these words again, Sun Jianmin was thinking about whether to strangle this bastard to death. How many years had no one talked to him like this? Feeling something was wrong, Han Qian said again. There is no fighting in the business. I caught Li Dehai's handle. I didn't want to be embarrassed and ran away with my son. As for Wei Tiancheng, he probably has other secrets that he is afraid of being known. He is having trouble and wants to run away. There is really no other way. I will assist the Yamanmen to catch all the fugitives and persuade Feng Lun to surrender. But don't make a whole prison escape thing. I will help you catch them. If the prisoners escape and seek revenge from me, no. I have to think about it. I'm considering whether to help you arrest someone. Wrong. Sun Jianmin and Qin Yaozu both felt something was wrong. The rhetoric that was originally prepared was useless in front of this unruly man. Instead, he slowly got into his rhythm. The two looked at each other, and then looked at Secretary General Li. The ant from Qinghu ignored them and looked at them. Han Qian said calmly. Do you have any intention of coming to work at the Yamen gate? Han Qian shook his head decisively and refused. No. It's too tiring to go to the Yamen gate. My life is pretty good now. Then when are you and Qinghu going to get the certificate? Han Qian was stunned, then stood up and said. There are still things outside. I'll go out and do some work first. Just leave, Secretary General Li said calmly when Han Qian went out. I'm not in a hurry to go back. Let's talk about this matter slowly. Han Qian hurriedly closed the door and went downstairs. Why did another man come to force him to marry? Now Han Qian really didn't know what to do. After going downstairs, Han Qian took a glass of red wine and drank it in one gulp. Secretary General Li looked like he was really not in a hurry to leave Binhai. Han Qian took a deep breath. The only thing that made him happy tonight was that nothing happened. When Han Qian had a headache, several bosses went downstairs and left the hotel with everyone's respect. His mother-in-law and others asked about it, and left after learning that nothing happened. Han Qian didn't show up much, and the party slowly dispersed. After a sip of wine, he was a little confused. He stood at the door and sent the guests off, each one with false politeness. After everyone was sent away, Suliang and Guan Yunbiao also went home. Han Qian covered his head with a slight headache and leaned on Tanjiao. Frowned. What kind of wine is this? Why do I have a severe headache after drinking so much? Tong Yao supported Han Qian and said softly. You drink red wine, white wine, beer, and champagne. It's no wonder you don't have a headache. I'll help you get some rest. Where are they warmed? Yang Lan has gone back, Luo Shen has gone to catch her brother, Wei Ju, and the others have also left. Wen Nuan seems to have had a little too much and went upstairs to rest. Let's go. It's cold outside. With the support of Tong Yao, Han Qian went upstairs with his eyes closed. When he reached the third floor, Han Qian sighed and said softly. Nothing happened at the dinner. This is really beyond my expectation. This curse is finally broken. Where should I sleep? Tong Yao supported Han Qian and said softly. You don't always talk too much. What if something happens tonight? I've opened a room for you. You can sleep in the hotel for one night. I guess you will be very, very busy tomorrow. Opening the door, Tong Yao threw Han Qian on the bed. Han Qian hugged Tong Yao, narrowed his eyes and smiled lewdly. How about you don't leave at night? Tong Yao gave Han Qian's waist a hard squeeze, broke away from her arms and left the room. Not long after, Han Qian suddenly felt someone lying down next to him. He hugged the soft body without even thinking about it, and murmured with his eyes closed. You may sound stubborn, but your body is very honest, teacher Tong. The woman in his arms was stunned for a moment. When she wanted to struggle, her body was pinned down on the bed. Then a hiss came from Han Qian's ear, and his head was covered with a piece of cloth. Han Qian narrowed his eyes and smiled. Don't make trouble if you sleep with me once, it's even if I sleep with you once. You brought it to me this time, teacher Tong. Han Qian turned over and pressed the girl under him. Click. The light in the room suddenly turned on. Han Qian frowned, opened his eyes, and said vaguely. Why are you still, Yates was pressed under Han Qian, and the bed was surrounded by people. Warmth, who was holding a towel in his hand and his face was ashen, Yan Qingqing, who had crumpled her pajamas into a ball, Cai Qinghu, who was tilting her head and thinking about life, and the full Yushasai with a wicked smile. Han Qian was stunned. He sat up, scratched his head, and said with a smile. Just kidding. Yates pushed Han Qian away and sat up, imitating Han Qian's example and said softly. You sleep with me once, and I sleep with you once, teacher Tong. It's over. This is the only thought in Han Qian's mind. Completely finished. Nuan slowly walked towards Han Qian with a towel and gritted his teeth. Teacher Tong? Ha, Han Qian, you are playing very fancy with me. After saying that, he stepped forward and strangled Han Qian's neck with a towel. In the warm life, there is no word escape. Moreover, she had already realized that the relationship between Han Qian and Tanjeo was not right. Han Qian grabbed the towel with both hands and said anxiously. I explain. SHH. Yan Qingqing walked forward with narrowed eyes and said softly. Explanation equals cover up. Cai Qinghu said immediately. Concealment equals reality, sir. I never expected it. No wonder you have never been close to women. There must be someone else. After the words fell, the two women made the bed and pressed Han Qian on top of them. Yushasai frowned and said softly. No wonder I found birth control pills and pregnancy test papers in the nursery rhyme drawer. It turns out that you two have had an affair for a long time. In this case, I won't be polite. Not long after, Han Qian was tied up and thrown on the bed. When Nuan hit Han Qian's forehead with two headbutts and said angrily. You wait. I'll let you go tonight, and you wait tomorrow morning. Han Qian. I tell you, you are finished. Han Qian said anxiously. Accident. It was really an accident. I was drugged by Wei Tiancheng that time. Why don't I feed you some dichlorvos? After saying this, Wen Nuan turned around and was about to leave. At this time, Yan Qingqing leaned close to Han Qian's ear and said softly. If you want, I can give it to you at any time. You have to call me next time you are drugged. Nursery rhymes are too old-fashioned, and they are definitely not suitable in bed. Yan Hu, please leave. Wen Nuan grabbed Yan Qingqing's hair and dragged him away from Han Qian. Cai Qinghu looked at Han Qian lovingly. Ms. Sir, I don't mind. It's better if you have experience. Cai Vase. Wen Nuan grabbed the girl's hair with one hand and dragged her away. Yu Shishi glanced at Han Qian meaningfully, then touched his belly and left with a bounce. Yates was left in the room. Han Qian said with a sneer. Miss Yet. Let me go, I have to go to the toilet. Yates narrowed his eyes and said softly. Did you feel comfortable when you hugged me just now? Did you feel comfortable to touch? Are we the same size as nursery rhyme? Tisk, 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 Mr. Han, you really surprised me. Miss Yet. Get out. Don't call me. Let's just say, there's no way the dinner party won't go wrong. Something happened. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 752. Late at night, Yan Qingqing sneakily opened the door and walked out of the room. She stepped on the carpet in the corridor with her bare feet and tiptoed towards Han Qian's room. She looked back at the door of her room from time to time, hoping that Wen Nuan would not be here. Time to wake up. When she arrived at Han Qian's door and was about to open the door, someone suddenly grabbed her hair. Yan Qingqing gritted her teeth, took a deep breath, and whispered. "Cai Huaping, let go. This matter has nothing to do with you." Cai Qinghu crossed his chest with one hand and held Yan Qingqing's hair with one hand and said lightly. "Yan Huipan, you'd better be more honest." "How can I be honest? Now that Han Qian has slept with nursery rhymes, aren't you worried that a bunch of little nursery rhymes and little Han Qian will come out in a year and a half? I have to be ahead of you on the road to having children. You let go." "I don't. There are so many wild men out there, just pick one." Nursery rhymes are nursery rhymes, and she has no intention of being with Han Qian. It's just something before marriage. She poses no threat to me. Yan Qingqing turned around and raised her head to look at Cai Qinghu, then lowered her head to look at her wearing high heels. Yan Qingqing, who was 1.65 meters tall, looked a little petite when she looked at Cai Qinghu, who was 1.8 meters tall. Yan Qingqing frowned. "That's it, is this the end of the matter? Did you already know that?" Cai Qinghu let go of Yan Qingqing's hair and shrugged. "I have some guesses, but I don't dare to confirm. Han Qian is already 26 years old, and he is a normal man. He should also enjoy sex. Can you and Wen Nuan be more normal? If you two can't tell the difference, you will have to go to my house. My husband is protecting you like a jade. You and Han Qian are not in a romantic relationship, and warmth is a thing of the past, so." Before he finished speaking, a cold voice came from the corridor. "So you two stayed up in the middle of the night and came here to have sex? We'll talk about Han Qian when we wake up tomorrow. Now you two go to bed." While talking, Wen Nuan walked forward, opened the door and walked in. Yan Qingqing looked at Cai Qinghu. "Why didn't you stop her?" Cai Qinghu said softly. "I didn't react." Then the two girls opened the door and walked into the room. Wen Nuan sat by the bed and untied the rope from Han Qian's hand. After covering him with the quilt, he prepared a bottle of water and put it on the bedside table. Seeing that Han Qian was already asleep, Nuan turned his head and looked at the two girls, and then said lightly, "Remember to wear a condom." After saying this, Yan Qingqing said angrily, Nuan, you did it on purpose, right? You knew there was an agreement between us, but you deliberately provoked me here." After saying this, Cai Qinghu put his arms around Yan Qingqing's neck and said angrily, "Don't shout. Get out, get out." The three girls left the room. Han Qian, who was lying on the bed, breathed a sigh of relief. If nothing unexpected happened, from today onwards, Empress Yasha will start to work. The three girls returned to the room. Wen Nuan got into the quilt and covered her head. Yan Qingqing sitting next to the girl's bed, he took a deep breath, patted the quilt gently, and said softly, "Warm, you won't be irritated." When there was no response, Yan Qingqing glanced at Cai Qinghu, who sighed. Nuan, I know you may feel more uncomfortable than us. After all, you and Han Qian are still at the level of kissing and hugging after 4 years. I think Han Qian did the right thing, and I don't think Nursery Rhyme did the same. Wrong, he was drugged by Wei Tiancheng. I have seen many such cases at the Yamen Gate. Han Qian was out of control at the time. After all, he was guarding our beautiful girls every day. He was a man will have normal needs, he is already very good, and I think my husband-in-law has done a good job. Nuan revealed a pair of big eyes under the quilt, and said softly after being silent for a while. I don't know how I should face nursery rhymes. I trust Han Jian 100%. The poems are not just teasing him once or twice. One is my best friend and the other is my ex-husband. Han Jian has always remained unmoved. I am already very satisfied. I can understand that he was drugged, and I will not doubt it. I know that there are too many people who plot against him. I just don't know how to face nursery rhymes in the future. As for Xiao Han Jian, he won't even let go even if he's beaten or scolded. Yan Qingqing curled her lips and spoke. Let's face it normally. Tanjio takes good care of you and Shisai. He does laundry and cooking, and picks you up in the middle of the night. They won't be together anyway, but thinking about it, I still feel a little reluctant. It's all your fault. Now I'm fine. Well, no one got it, the nursery rhyme got there first. Cai Kinghu took 2 steps back and sat on the TV cabinet, saying softly. She is different from you too. Even if Tong Yao and Han Jian get to the end, she is just a lover. There is only physical passion and no spiritual connection. She is just a tool at best. After saying the words, Nuan said softly again. You have to think about it, will Han Jian play nursery rhymes and fall in love and get married again? This sentence caused the 3 women to fall into silence. After about 10 minutes, the door was pushed open. The nursery rhyme is here. Teacher Tong was holding 2 thermos buckets in his hands. He was slightly surprised when he looked at the 3 women in the room, and walked into the room and said softly. I saw that the light in your room was always on. I was worried that Nuan would make me hungry, so I went to prepare some dumplings. Do you want to eat them? Cai Kinghu glanced at the nursery rhyme and then at Wen Nuan. He stepped forward and took the thermos bucket, opened it, reached out and took out a dumpling and stuffed it into his mouth, saying vaguely. I'm not very hungry, you guys eat, I'm going to bed. Cai Kinghu left immediately, while Yan Qingqing took the open thermos bucket from Cai Kinghu and held it in her arms, sighing. I'll go find Jijing to eat together. The Yasha Empress also left. Tanjio looked at the 2 people leaving with some doubts. Then he walked to the bed and looked at the warmth with only a pair of eyes exposed. Tanjio said softly. Why are you covering your mouth with the quilt? You didn't eat anything at night. When Nuan opened the quilt, opened her arms and hugged nursery rhyme tightly, and said softly. Yao Yao, are we best friends? Tong Yao was stunned for a moment, then sighed. I have never had friends, not since I was a child. I met you and Shisai after I arrived in Binhai. You are my best friends. I told Shisai that when you and Han Jian hold a wedding, we will choose a wedding dress for you. I will be your bridesmaid and see you happily get married. At this time, the warm eyes holding the nursery rhyme were filled with mist, and he choked softly. Are you willing? Tong Yao stiffened, then narrowed her eyes and smiled. There is no such thing as willingness and unwillingness. Life is not perfect, so Shisai and I work hard to make your life perfect. Leave the work to Shisai, and I will take care of you in life. This is good. Nuan hugged Tanjio's body without letting go. After a long time, Tanjio lowered his head and choked. Nuan, I'm sorry. Nuan ignored the apology, let go of Tanjio and looked down at the dumplings in the thermos bucket. Tanjio opened the thermos bucket and said softly. The stuffed shrimp stuffing. Nuan nodded to the nursery rhyme, turned to look out the window, not knowing what he was thinking. After eating the dumplings, Nuan lay on the bed and didn't want to get up. Tong Yao pulled Nuan to brush his teeth. After a stalemate for more than 10 minutes, Tong Yao got up helplessly and walked to the bathroom, took out a toothbrush and handed it to Nuan Lai, who couldn't get up from the bed. Nuan whispered. I don't want to brush. Nursery rhyme put the toothbrush directly into her warm mouth. The girl was lying on the bed, and the monster was brushing her teeth. Finally, nursery rhyme pinched her warm cheeks and whispered. When are you going to have a child with Han Qian? I can help you take care of it. Nuan blinked at the nursery rhyme and said softly. Sleep. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Huan. Chapter 753. Multi-party review. Han Qian was sitting on the sofa. Nursery rhyme went back to school to work. The other girls stayed in the room and surrounded Han Qian. When Nuan, who was sitting by the bed, looked at Han Qian with cold eyes. The latter lowered his head and scratched his ears and cheeks. Why don't you just hope for my death sentence? This is too torturous. That time was definitely an accident. Wei Tiancheng and Miao Miao drugged me in order to make me have a relationship with Wei Buseo, and then I ran away. And hit the Maserati at that time, and then. When Nuan slapped the coffee table, which made Han Qian tremble in fright, and Wen said coldly. Then what are you going to do? Han Qian was hesitating and couldn't explain what was going on. At this time, Ji Jing suddenly spoke. What should I do? You can't ask your eldest nephew. This kind of thing should be asked to Principal Tong. If she wants to do it, she can tell her anything. What if she doesn't want to? Secretary, yeah, are you right? Yates raised his head and asked doubtfully. What? How can I, a secretary, take care of my boss's affairs? Even if he marries 8 wives, I will only have 8 more wives. Then again, in today's society, let alone sleeping together, even if we are married, we can still getting divorced. After saying this, Wen Nuan frowned, looked at Yates, and said coldly. Secretary, yeah, what do you mean? Who are you being so weird about here? Yates raised his hands and stepped back. I didn't say anything. You go on, I just don't understand. You are not Mr. Han's girlfriend, nor his wife or daughter-in-law. In what capacity are you going to interrogate him? Who does he sleep with? Who does he sleep with? What does it matter? When Nuan tilted his head and looked at Yates, then Cai Qinghu spoke. My husband-in-law did something sorry for me, so I should ask. Yates chuckled without speaking. Ji Jing said softly. Then why didn't you talk to your eldest nephew? That's something. Cai Qinghu was speechless for a moment, and Yu Shisai raised his hands in excitement. Me. Nuan turned around and said coldly. What are you going to do? I need to pee, you continue. After Yu Shisai turned around and ran away, Yates said again. I always dress up in front of Mr. Han and don't let him touch me. It's good that Mr. Han can hold back. Yan Qingqing spoke. I told him not to touch him. Nuan frowned. Yan Qingqing, do you want to lose face? You sell it? How much does that stuff cost per pound? Yan Qingqing looked at Wen Nuan with disdain, and then Cai Qinghu said. Yan Huipan, you are so shameless. Yan Qingqing was furious. Cai Huaping, if you call me a flower pot, I'll break your legs. Nuan answered. Are you envious of our long legs? Yan Qingqing took a deep breath and then pointed at Ji Jing. Look at this family, look at you too. You can't even find a cafeteria after giving birth. Childhood without breast milk is incomplete. You have to bring a magnifying glass when your child is born, or you have to ask, Mom, are you there? Don't turn your back to me. With such talk, Nuan and Cai Qinghu looked at Ji Jing at the same time. Cai Qinghu gritted his teeth and said. So useful. It makes me tremble even when I run. After saying this, Ji Jing frowned. It's your business to quarrel, why take me with you? As long as my child can eat enough. When Nuan was so angry that fire was about to burst out of his eyes, and he glared at Yan Qingqing. Are you here to quarrel with me today or to ask Han Qian? I have discovered that except for me, none of you really care about this matter. Yates said lightly. There's nothing wrong with it. Isn't it just a matter of getting into bed? It's just a normal physiological need. I don't believe you, Mr. Wen, are tormenting Han Qian every day. He still has the energy and the mind to go out and eat secretly. He obviously has a woman living with him. After being drugged, it was not you who was looking for you, you should reflect on it yourself. Cai Qinghu nodded vigorously. Yes, yes, Nuan, you should think about it carefully. Yan Qingqing said immediately. Isn't it the same for you? After saying this, Cai Qinghu became very excited and exclaimed. Can I really do that? Several women were quarreling. There was no such thing as unity and friendship, or sisters working together. They would not let go of the opportunity to ridicule each other. Han Qian sat on the sofa and scratched his head. He knew how many girls after the quarrel, it's time to deal with him. I really can't drink anymore. When Han Qian was in a dilemma, his phone rang. Cheng Jin's call came at the right time. Han Qian crossed the screen and said loudly. Mayor Cheng. What are your instructions? After hearing the call from Cheng Jin, all the girls were quiet. Han Qian frowned and stood up and said in a deep voice. Yes. Yes. I know, is it serious? I'll go there now. Cheng Jin frowned and said without any doubts. What are you talking about? Han Qian ignored Cheng Jin's culture and said in a deep voice. How many leaders are still in Binhai? Okay. I'll go there now. While on the phone, he picked up the suit on the sofa and glanced at Yates. Secretary Ye picked up his bag and tablet and followed Han Qian downstairs. The women left in the room were stunned, and Yan Qingqing frowned. Just let him run away. Cai Qinghu said angrily. It's not like you can't tell the difference between friend and foe. Forget it, I have to leave. Let's talk about this later when we have time. The girls left, and Wen Wenwen sighed weakly. At this time, Yu Shisai came back, and asked softly why Han Qian was let go so easily. Wen Wenwen said weakly. Can I still delay him? Let's go to the company as well. He and I are not done with this matter. At this moment, Han Qian had escaped disaster. He was sitting in the passenger seat and gasping for air. Yates gave Han Qian a contemptuous look and drove seriously. When he arrived at the Yamen gate, Cheng Jin looked at Han Qian who was slumped in a chair and frowned. What nonsense are you talking about on the phone? Han Qian sighed while holding the water glass, and Yates chuckled. The incident happened in Dongchuang. There was a fire in the backyard. I escaped while you were on the phone. Han Qian glared at Yates. You are the only one who talks a lot. Then he looked at Cheng Jin and said softly. You called and said that several leaders from the provincial government office wanted to inspect the work? Where were they? Cheng Jin glanced at the watch on his wrist and frowned. I should be checking Luo Shanda at Weijiaokuadong just after dinner. It seems that the inspection is not for something. Han Qian, please tell me whether Luo Shanda has violated any discipline. Han Qian nodded. Yes. But I can't say that I have helped clean up everything before Luo Shanda, and now I really can't find out anything. Lao Luo is one of my allies, old man. Please forgive me, I can only say that the violation of discipline is not serious and does not have much impact. I am well aware of this matter. Cheng Jin slapped Han Qian on the shoulder. Han Qian covered his shoulder and stood up, frowning. What are you doing? Why do you do it again? Cheng Jin frowned. Can't I just slap you as an elder? Bastard, you have a big idea in your mind. Let me tell you something. You don't have any business now, so we can play together unscrupulously. Once you have a business, let's draw a clear line between the two. So serious. I was invited to talk late at night last night. Sun Jianmin and Qin Yazu checked you for most of the night. In the end, they didn't find any property in your name, not even a position in the company. Now they are very curious about you, so be careful. The words fell. Han Qian stood up. I went home to sleep and they were staring at me. How can I still have a good life? When the door was opened, Han Qian stepped back. Qin Yaozu appeared at the door and reached out to grab Han Qian's shoulders. You come with me. I don't go. Han Qian slapped Qin Yaozu's arm off. Qin Yaozu was stunned by this scene. Then he stepped forward and put his arms around Han Qian's neck and clamped it under his arm. He dragged the unruly man to the car and got into the car. Han Qian looked at after looking at Sun Jianmin and Secretary General Li, he became quiet. Sun Jianmin said softly. I went to the city bureau last night, and now I'm going to see the 2 pieces of land he took away at the Yamen gate at a low price. Han Qian, let's have a good chat about how you got this land. Qin Yaozu told Han Qian in the car that he went to the city bureau to interrogate some criminals last night. Personal confessions showed that Han Qian had a lot to do with them. Han Qian didn't take it to heart after hearing this and ignored it while playing with his mobile phone with his head down. Now Qin Yaozu will say nothing to Han Qian and he won't pay attention to him. The people in the Yamenmen are like this, half deceiving and half telling the truth. If you accidentally say the wrong thing, you may fall into their trap. When they arrived at Honor Home, Sun Jianmin got out of the car and looked at the building materials mall where people were coming and going, and he said softly. It is said that your honor spent less than 4 million to acquire this piece of land. And it was not rented but purchased. Please explain to me why it was so cheap. At this time, Han Qian, who was playing games on his mobile phone, squatted beside the car and whispered softly. You ask the Yamenman, what's the use of asking me? We will buy it in glory, and you will sell it in the Yamenman. Just bargain, and you should stop studying me. Even if you study over and over again, you can't find anything. Sun Jianmin chuckled. Knowing that you are more meticulous in your work, we are not in a hurry. I heard someone said that you can contact Feng Lun and give us a performance. While talking, Sun Jianmin led everyone towards the Honor Furniture Mall. Han Qian handed the phone to Yates, who came over and said softly. I'm not as powerful as the Yamenman said. I can't contact Feng Lun, but he can contact me. If you want to check the Honor Home, I will accompany you. If it's Feng Lun's problem, I will go home first. After saying this, Han Qian turned around and left. At this time, Sun Jianmin spoke. Han Qian, you had a serious quarrel with Linmend and Niu Qiudong, right? Can you provide me with some useful information? For example, when you and the eldest lady of the Luo family in Beijing were assassinated, can you tell me more about it? Han Qian grinned after hearing this. We'll talk later, Secretary General Li. Let's find a place to talk about King Hu. Second update. I went out to buy medicine in the afternoon. I have been suffering from cervical spondylosis recently. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 754. Han Qian made a phone call. Not long after, Han Qian took people to the Nanhai Fishing Port Seafood Hotel. Han Qian discovered a problem. These 3 ancestors didn't seem to care about going to some high-end places. Yang Dajin came running over. Coming. Please come upstairs, everything is ready. Han Qian said softly. Let me introduce to you. After finishing speaking, Qin Yaozu had already walked to the elevator. Han Qian approached Sun Jianmin and whispered softly. Uncle Sun, Qin Yaozu never went to school, right? Why are there no rules? Sun Jianmin frowned and smiled. Do you dare to tell him in front of him? How do you know that I like seafood? Did you ask in advance? Han Qian shook his head, lowered his head and whispered. Because I don't like eating, I think seafood is particularly unpalatable, so I invite you to eat seafood. After saying this, Yang Dajin, who was walking in front, froze. Both Luo Shen and Secretary General Li looked at Han Qian with strange eyes. When they entered the elevator, Han Qian suddenly answered the phone and motioned for them to get up first. After the elevator door closed, Secretary General Li frowned and said in a deep voice. This kid is not as innocent as he seems on the surface. He may be plotting against us on this phone call. He is quite courageous. Sun Jianmin nodded and said softly. The stains on his body are not fatal, so there is no need to say that he is afraid of us. This boy is very vengeful, so be careful. Several people nodded, but Yates lowered his head and said nothing. Downstairs, Han Qian held his cell phone and whispered. Auntie. I can't handle the pressure anymore. Secretary General Li is clearly trying to deal with me. Come here, my mother is not in Binhai City, and you are the only one who can make the decision for me, Auntie. Han Qian's voice was coquettish, and Qian Ling smiled helplessly. Okay, man, don't be so jabbering. I'll pack up and go there in about 10 minutes. Isn't Cheng Jing going? I just made a call. I really can't bear it if you two don't come, Aunt. Do you think I should set a trap for Qin Yezu? There are still a few people who were promoted by him in Binhai City, and I'll throw them in. You talk to Cheng Jin about this matter, I only care about your personal affairs. Qian Ling hung up the phone and Han Qian scratched his head. Why should he tell Cheng Jin about this? Didn't people just go in after saying so? Han Qian stood at the door scratching his head and ears, what should I do? Cheng Jin came when he was confused, looked at Han Qian and frowned. Why aren't you up there? Han Qian raised his head and frowned. Old man, I'm thinking of setting a trap for Qin Yezu. Do you think you can do it? Snapped. After almost knocking Han Qian to the ground with a slap, Cheng Jin gritted his teeth and said angrily. Why are you provoking him for nothing? Qin Yezu always walks at a 90-degree angle when he walks around. You are going to set a trap for him. He will dare to swallow a gun and kill himself tomorrow. Do you believe it or not? Han Qian straightened up and his face was full of excitement. Are you so tough? Seeing the cunning man rubbing his hands in excitement, Cheng Jin grabbed the guy by the back collar and kicked him all the way into the box. Watching Cheng Jin come over, Sun Jianmin winked at Secretary General Li, and Qin Yezu spoke. Would you like to eat? I'm hungry. Han Qian lowered his head and curled his lips. I didn't stop you. Then he raised his head and smiled at Secretary General Li. And son, my parents are not in Binhai to visit Sichuan. My aunt and my godmother will come over to talk to you about Qinghu in a while. In addition, Mr. Cheng has set a red line for me and Qinghu. As a matchmaker, he must also be present. Secretary General Li frowned. What did you call me? Han Qian smiled. Auntie. After all, you are the elder of Qinghu. When I talk to you, I have to bend my waist and legs while holding tea and pouring water. Secretary General Li sneered. Glib words are useless. So I asked my godmother to talk to you. My mother basically doesn't care about my affairs. In my mother's eyes, there are two things, good things and bad things. There are only two outcomes, whether I get beaten or not. Beat. As Han Qian sat down while talking, Qin Yezu grabbed the shrimp and threw it at Han Qian. The latter tilted his head to avoid it, and then complained to Sun Jianmin. How do you think he wasted the country's food? Qin Yezu said angrily. I'll pay. Hey, sir, you are really rich. Does your son drive a Ferrari? Ah. Qin Yezu smiled, then stood up and walked towards Han Qian. Han Qian stood up and ran. After the bastard ran out of the box, Sun Jianmin frowned and told Qin Yaozu to stop testing. If the bastard was so easy to be tested, he would have died in Binhai. Qin Yaozu frowned. Has it been seen? Everyone was silent. Qin Yaozu's face was full of dissatisfaction. When Han Qian came back again, Qianling came. The jeweled Qianling walked into the box, said hello to several people, walked to Secretary General Li, stretched out her hand and said softly, "Hello Secretary General Li, I am Qianling, Han Qian's half-mother." Secretary General Li stood up and smiled. What a coincidence. I am also half a mother from Qinghu. This time I came to Binhai just for the sake of these two children. There is no need to hide it from me. I know how many girls Han Qian has around him. The little girl from the Wen family, Glory, not to mention the little Pepper in the group, and the little secretary in front of me who doesn't allow anyone except Han Qian to call her Miss Ye. My Qinghu family's life is a bit bitter. After Qianling sat down, Yates came over to get hot water for the two elders, and explained that it was not suitable to drink tea when eating seafood. Qianling smiled and said she was sensible, and Secretary General Li snorted coldly. Seeing this, Qianling smiled. Secretary General Li seems to be very dissatisfied with my little Qian. Maybe he thinks all his children are perfect and doesn't know what his shortcomings are. Secretary General Li frowned. No initiative, no refusal, no resistance, no responsibility, are these 12 words enough? Cheng Jin, don't laugh, let's settle the matter of how you pushed my little lake into a fire pit. Cheng Jin, who was eating crabs, laughed and didn't take it to heart at all. He kept stepping on Han Qian's feet under the table. This little brat had to talk to Qin Yaozu several times. Cheng Jin was not worried about Han Qian's safety, but Qin Yaozu's. Can you leave Binhai alive? He might really be pissed off by Han Qian. Qianling took a sip of hot water and said softly. Not taking the initiative? I'll tell you my personal opinion. You can listen to it. While speaking, Yates had already placed the clean crab meat on Secretary General Li's plate. Secretary General Li frowned slightly, but did not refuse and motioned for Qianling to continue. Qianling smiled. Boys who are too proactive mean they have the upper hand. Although Xiao Qian has not received any higher education, he knows how to be humble to girls. You can ask Qinghu. Secretary General Li frowned as he looked at Yates's professional way of cleaning the seafood. Don't refuse. Qianling smiled. Rejecting a girl's request is something a gentleman should do, right? You just heard about Qian's kindness to Qinghu, but we see it. As long as Qinghu said it, Xiao Qian never said a word. Not long ago, why did Feng Lun and Kui Li come to Binhai City to trouble him? The reason was because they casually asked Xiao Qian to help her best friend. If she refused, maybe Feng Lun and Kui Li would not will appear. Not resisting. I can't explain this, because you know it in your heart. As for being irresponsible, you shouldered the responsibility of protecting Qinghu's personal safety and faced a despicable murderer. Xiao Qian never backed down and did not let Qinghu suffer any harm. Hurt, you said Xiao Qian is a playboy, I admit it, but if you want to say Xiao Qian, I, as a godmother, cannot agree. Secretary General Li turned around and looked at Qianling, squinting and smiling. According to what you said, Han Qian should have more girls around him. Is he not at fault? Qianling chuckled. Fault? Where is the fault? If he is married, this is just a moral issue, not to mention that he is single and does not even have a nominal girlfriend. Shouldn't feelings be loyal? But loyalty does not mean being loyal to one person. Xiao Qian is a child who is devoted to love, just to a group of girls. Moreover, he has not hidden it and has deceived several girls. Xiao Hu clearly knows how many girls he has around him. Girl. Qianling, do you mean that my Qinghu family has bad taste? Did you jump on it yourself? No, 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 I think King Hu has a very good vision. He knows what kind of man can be entrusted to her for the rest of her life, and knows what kind of man can protect her for all seasons. If Han Qian is really interested, he wants to do something. What, King Hu will still be a yellow flower girl now. Qian Ling, don't you think there's something wrong with your outlook on life? Secretary General Li, you are wrong. You are well informed at the provincial government office. You should have seen countless people who are married and still supporting women outside. Such people have incorrect views, because it's disrespectful to marriage. And why do you think King Hu won't be the one to get the certificate with Xiao Qian? Children and grandchildren will have their own blessings. Do you think my Xiaohu is happy to have a man with other girls? Then do you think Xiaohu will be happy with someone she doesn't love and who is spying on her identity and family property? Do you think Han Qian values not Xiaohu's property? You may think that this money is a lot of money, and it is not a small amount for me, but for my Xiao Qian, this money is really not a lot of money. If you give Xiao Qian 5 years, there is no need for the so-called 10 or 20 years. I thought that he could become the biggest business leader in Binhai City, but unfortunately he didn't have this idea, and even the shares of glory that I gave him were rejected by him. Haha, you have a niece named Qian Wan, right? It's a pity that Xiao Qian doesn't like this girl and only treats her as a sister. I hope to get closer to her. If Wan Wan can have the courage of King Hu, I will have peace of mind in this life. At this moment, everyone was looking at Secretary General Li and Qian Ling. There was no winner in the short confrontation between these two women. Cheng Jin and Sun Zhenmin had cold sweat on their foreheads, and they looked at each other without any words. There are many attack words, but they have actually fought countless times. Qin Yaozu glanced at Han Qian and said softly, "Not doing your job properly." Han Qian looked at Qin Yaozu and whispered, "If I can't stop your mouth, wait until Feng Lun contacts me. I will study your city bureau. I will disgrace you." Qin Yaozu sneered. "You find someone, and I'll give myself a shot. I'm afraid that you will be beaten into a sieve, and your son will have to fight for me." "Haha, I don't have a son, I have 2 daughters." After saying this, Han Qian raised his head and said excitedly with his eyes widened, "How old are you?" As soon as the words came out, crab shells, crawling shrimps, and abalone all hit Han Qian. Qin Yaozu bypassed Sun Zhenmin and Cheng Jin and pressed the back of Han Qian's neck and said angrily, "If you dare to hit my daughter, I will chop you up." Don't dare, I absolutely don't dare." Qin Yaozu let go of his hand and Han Qian whispered, "Secretary, yeah, check it for me and see if it's pretty." Qin Yaozu turned around to catch Han Qian, but Han Qian ran away. Qin Yaozu was so angry that his face turned green, and he pointed at Qian Ling and said angrily, "Your son." Qian Ling chuckled. "It's very good." After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 755. Excellent. Secretary General Li squinted at Qian Ling and said coldly, "You tell me this is excellence?" Qian Ling, as an elder, I understand that this is true everywhere in our own children, but you can't force us to think that he is excellent. As a young man in his 20s, there is no official I don't know how to entrust King Hu to him for his work and livelihood. My current attitude is obvious, I don't agree." Qian Ling chuckled. "It's okay to disagree. If you agree, we will have to consider whether you have any other intentions. You must know the character of King Hu child better than I do. The assets in her hands are all Cai Jiang's. It's best if King Hu can be defended. If it can't be defended and someone deceives it, haha, Secretary General Li will bear full responsibility. Or has Secretary General Li found an outstanding boy? He is better than Xiao Qian. At least he's not as carefree as he is. Don't say that Secretary General Li doesn't understand men yet. Men will become bad when they have money. It's just shown or hidden in their hearts. Do you think the boy you are looking for will definitely not cheat? Xiao Jian is the most suitable for Cheng. For Xiaohu, at least there will be no domestic violence, deception, or harm, and Xiaohu can have a peaceful life. Care? Director Qian thinks that Han Qian will be the same after they get married. Qian Ling picked up the water glass and laughed. Married? When did I say married? Times have changed. Marriage is too unfair for a few girls. When the words came out, Secretary General Li took action. It's unreasonable. It's simply unreasonable. I will never agree to King Hu and Han Qian being together. The powerful female leader got angry, got up and left. When she was leaving, she saw Han Qian standing at the door smoking, and kicked Han Qian in the calf. The pain from the impact of the toe of the high-heeled shoes made Han Qian cover his legs and squat on the ground. Dare to be angry but dare not speak. Mainly Qian Ling's words are two. In the box, Qin Yazu and Sun Zhenmin were indifferent to this matter. They didn't understand the world of women, and they didn't care about the private affairs of Han Qian, a bastard. After dinner, Sun Zhenmin had other things to be busy with, so he left first with others. Han Qian stood downstairs and watched several people get into the car. Watching everyone leave, Han Qian sighed. Auntie, do you think Secretary Li can wear small shoes for me? Qian Ling chuckled. Yes. But don't dare to make too much trouble. After all, King Hu is watching. Between you and King Hu is pursuing you. There is no reason or need for us to bow our heads, as if we are begging her. Han Qian lowered his head and whispered. Having said that, will this hurt King Hu? When the time comes, King Hu will come over and quarrel with me, I'm a little scared. After saying this, Qian Ling grabbed Han Qian's ears and slapped him twice on the shoulder, and said angrily. Why are you so worthless? Why are you afraid of these little girls? If you are tougher, they will be weaker. Seeing you being bullied makes me angry. Han Qian tilted his head and whispered with a grin. I can't just beat her up, right? Especially King Hu. Don't say I beat her. Even if she rides on my neck, I can't say no. She has no place to complain after bullying King Hu. It hurts to think about it. Why? Qian Ling sighed and spoke softly. You are kind at heart and know how to care for others, but others don't understand. Xiao Qian, tell your aunt, which girl do you like best, Nuan Nuan? Ji Zheng. It's so embarrassing, don't ask like that. Do you dare to do it or not? Auntie, when you mentioned this, I remembered another thing. I may have to go back to our house to stay for a few days recently, and these girls are going to interrogate me. Made a mistake. Well, that's a big mistake. Which girl did you make the mistake with? Nursery rhyme. Unexpected, I thought it would be Ching Ching. Ching Ching, Wen Nuan, King Hu and the others seem to have some kind of agreement. I don't know the details. In the eyes of the three of them, other girls are no threat. I don't know the details either. I'm going to do some work. I'll go home in the evening. Cook. Be safe, are you taking Ada and Aer with you? Han Qian, who had already run away, waved to Qian Ling and shouted loudly. No need, let them stay and protect you. Bye. After saying that, he opened the door and got in the car, shouting to Yates. Let's go. My miss Ye, let's go pick up Guan Yun Biao first, then pick up Sul Yang, and go talk to Yang Ji Unfeng about life. Damn it, you're actually snitching. Yates started the car and said softly. There are several tigers in Binhai now. Are you sure you want to trouble Yang Ji Unfeng at this juncture? Han Qian fiddled with his cell phone and held a cigarette in his mouth. Yates took out a lighter, lit a cigarette for his husband, and said softly. I have observed that Secretary Li came here just for King Hu this time. Qin Yazu's side should not be here to target you, but to support you. Only Sun Jianmin is here to target you. Han Qian took a long puff of cigarette and turned to blow it towards Yates. Ms. Ye was choked and coughed, and then she performed a set of cat punches on Han Qian's shoulder. Han Qian didn't care and laughed. They are in Binhai. I'm going to talk to Yang Jianfeng about life. It's not like fighting in the past. Aren't you worried that this is a trap? Ms. Ye, I don't like others to deny my decision. Han Qian looked at Yates resentfully, and the latter frowned and said calmly. I'm trying to persuade you not to make a wrong decision, but if you insist on having your own way, I'll drive to District 8 to pick you up. Pick someone up, you know my character. Yates glared at Han Qian full of resentment, then started the car and headed to District 8. On the way, Han Qian took the initiative to say a few words, but Yates ignored him. Han Qian became a little angry and slapped Yates on the leg. Yates gritted his teeth and said angrily, Mr. Han, I can sue you for sexual harassment of me. Han Qian chuckled softly. Mosquito. It's snowing outside. New species. Let me give you some knowledge about it. I am a 985 graduate, but you didn't finish your freshman year. This time Han Qian was silent, looking out the window with sad eyes. The biggest regret in his life is that he did not finish college and did not enjoy the youthful college life. After picking up the two most trusted people, Han Qian went straight to Jingxi Yang Jianfeng's company. Han Qian has been traveling between Binhai and Jingxi recently. Yang Jianfeng has tricked Han Qian many times. Han Qian really needs to give him some time to remember. On the highway to Jingxi, Han Qian received a call from Cheng Jin. You bastard, did you go to Jingxi? Are you looking for Yang Jianfeng again? Han Qian replied with a smile. No. He just sued me. How dare I go to trouble him again? I mainly go to his brother-in-law. Come back now. Someone reported the police to the city bureau. Did you set a trap for Qin Yezu, bastard? Report the person to the city bureau? Han Qian frowned and said solemnly. This matter has nothing to do with me at all. These big tigers suddenly came to Binhai. It is an opportunity for the common people to recommend them. It has nothing to do with me at all. Cheng Jin said softly. Really not. You bastard shouldn't be able to lie to me. Don't cause any trouble when you go to Jingxi. Go early and come back early, okay? Secretary Li is going to talk to you about King Hu. I know, you are more verbose than my father, so you're dead. Han Qian hung up the phone and simply turned off the phone. Cheng Jin, the son of the Yamanman, looked at his phone, raised his head and glanced at Qin Yezu, who had a gloomy face, and said softly. He shouldn't lie to me, and Li Jinhai is the acting leader of the municipal bureau. He has no reason to report anyone from the municipal bureau. I don't know about other things. I know that your face is about to be disgraced. It seems that this person was promoted by you. Qin Yezu sighed feebly. You are the mayor and deputy secretary of Binhai. You can handle this matter how you want. You are going too far. My child is only 26 years old, and you and Lao Sun are over 100 years old together. Isn't it embarrassing? You don't need to worry about it. What's going on with that surveillance thing? Ask Niu Qiudong, I didn't interfere in this matter. What is the purpose of your visit this time? Cheng Jin frowned. He was really confused. These big guys came to Binhai for their own purposes, but what was Qin Yezu's purpose? Qin Yezu stood up and stretched. Do not ask. After more than an hour's journey, Han Qian and others stood in Yang Jianfeng's office. Lao Yang looked a little nervous at the sudden appearance of Han Qian, stood up and smiled. Master Han, please sit down quickly. Han Qian chuckled, and Guan Yunbiao said.